It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 139. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, July 27th, 2025. A great day for a podcast about video games and more. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing great out there in the world, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. The first order of business, however, is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. Today's show, we have three sections as always. The first section, I'll tell you about what video games I've been playing since I last talked to you on this microphone. The mid section of the show, which is not mid in quality, it's just the middle section where I tell you about everything you need to know going on around the video game world. In the third and final section each week, the Miscellaneous Talk section, which is a break from all the video game talk, and usually where I get into the worldwide world of sports, and that will be the same case today. So that is the plan, and it's going to be a great show. No one ever says it's going to be a terrible show because that would be probably more truthful. But all right, we're going to start the show here. It's going to be a really good one today. So what have I been playing? I've been playing some Donkey Kong Bonanza. And this game released on July 17th, so it's been out for about 10 days now, I guess, if you're listening in real time. And I think this one is up there in contention for my favorite game of the year. That's where my thoughts have been going on this. I don't know if it's surpassed Mario Kart World yet, but I've been having a whole lot of fun with this. I've been mainly doing some backtracking this week and going back through the levels and trying to find more bananas and find fossils, find chests and build my gold up and just complete some of the collectible things on the world and see more of the levels and things like that. So I've been having a whole lot of fun. I've even been, stumbling across things as I go. The map is really, really useful, but you do often stumble across things still if you're just out there roaming around the open world. So I think you could probably do both if you wanted to. You can just roam around the open world and you're eventually going to find things, or you can use some of the guides they have in the game, like the sonar or the map ability, or I guess that's like Pauline's singing ability, where it shows you an overlay of where all the things are displayed on the map or on the world, not even in the menu, so it's pretty useful. And then the map in this game is really useful too, so I think it does a really good job for the backtracking, and then the moving around the levels is extremely fun. Diving through things, punching things, turf surfing, I still think is one of my favorite mechanics in this game, and I guess I got to start noticing that because I'm a big shield surfer in Zelda, and now I'm a turf surfer in Donkey Kong Bonanza, so I need to find other games I like surfing in the future, or maybe that's just a cheat code to get me to like your game, is to have some cool surfing mechanic in it. So we will be seeing that over the years of the Dep Lewis Show here. But Donkey Kong Bonanza has been really fun. I would like to be able to be unlocking some more cool costumes and things like that, but I've been happy with my current setup. I have the black fur going on. I have a cool tie that helps me increase something, and then I have just some basic shorts on, but they look pretty cool with the black fur. So I feel like my Donkey Kong is looking pretty cool. I think he's doing a good job out there, but I would like to see some more variety maybe of things I can collect. But I've been having a whole lot of fun. I've been having a whole lot of fun collecting and going back and smashing through the world and seeing these levels some more and hearing the music and turf surfing, like I mentioned. And I've been having a whole lot of fun with this game. So I do think I'm at a good point where I've done some good backtracking, and I need to probably not push the story forward, but maybe push some levels forward and just kind of play through them, having some fun, and then maybe do some backtracking again like I've been doing. So it's been a whole lot of fun. I think this game's up there in contention for my favorite game of the year. It's up there with Mario Kart World. I don't really know if I want to give it the nod quite yet. Maybe Mario Kart World would still be my favorite game this year so far, but it's definitely up for a debate. And I was kind of noticing even earlier this morning that there's still a whole half of a year left. And I really do think I have most of the games I want to play for this year already. So I just really need to do some playing over here and do some determining. And I kind of have a good feeling it's going to be Donkey Kong or Mario Kart World, but you never really know. I have a whole half of a year left to play, and we're going to see where it's going to go, and you're going to be here. I'll definitely be talking about it each week on this show because that's what goes on around here on this Dep Lewis Show. So, been having some fun with Donkey Kong Bonanza. Haven't played a ton of it, but I've been doing some collectible stuff and having fun. So, Donkey Kong Bonanza has been extremely fun. All right, what else have I been playing? I've been picking up a little bit of Persona 3 Reload, continuing to play this. I really do love this game. I'm having a whole lot of fun with it. I think I'm around the 16-hour mark in it so far. We just got a new party member on our squad, so that's been pretty nice. We saved this girl, and realized she had some pretty incredible powers that helped us actually get out of from where we saved her, and then we got her to join our team. So that was the last big update, and in the battling big overarching story update. But I really do like the day-to-day stuff in Persona 3 Reload probably the most, of where you're going around and you have your open world freedom of choice of things to do. I really enjoy that. You have to choose where to spend your time, and you can spend as much time you want walking around and talking to people, but once you pick an activity, it's going to proceed time forward. So you make a couple of these decisions each day. Sometimes it has story stuff that takes precedent, and you can't actually pick what you want to do. So, I mean, that's the coolest thing I like about Persona 3 Reload, is it mimics a lot of things in real life. And I think some of the knocks on Persona in general is that these are people in high school, or I guess these people are in high school, and I think they eventually get to college in metaphor, but people kind of knock it for that. But it's just more of a setup. It's not like the whole thing is just high school drama. I think this game, the cool part about this game is, there is high school drama and stuff going on, and drama and stuff in the game, but there's an overarching kind of thing to this game where it has some really good themes that I think can relate to a lot of people's lives, of your social interactions, and then you have to kind of keep the main mission going sometimes, and you're probably going to get a lot of your fun and stuff from the side missions in the open world, and making your connection and growing those, and it wants you to spread around your connections to make you a more well-rounded person. So I mean, I think the kind of structure of the game, and I've been saying structure too much in this show lately, but I think it's just really cool. So Persona 3 Reload, I've been having a lot of fun with this, and the music in it's incredible. I think one of the songs of Persona is probably going to be my most listened to song on Spotify this year. That's kind of my early guess here halfway through the year. So I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and maybe I'll talk a little bit more Persona in the middle of the show. I think there is a topic in there where I'll bring that up, but I've been having a lot of fun with that. This is a game I would love to finish someday. I don't know if I ever will, but I'm 16 hours in, having a whole lot of fun with it, and I'm going to continue playing it. That's one thing I do know. All right, something else I decided to pick up last week that is a game that released last year, and that's the Super Mario RPG remake. So I bought this game last year, and I am so close to finishing it. I have 1 star left to get. I think it's the 7th star, I believe, or the 8th maybe. I am in the last world. I've made some progress. I really thought I beat the game last week, which was pretty funny. I defeated a boss and threw my hands up in victory, like, oh my gosh, yes, I beat this game. I can check a Mario RPG off my list, and actually completed another game this year, which would be nice, and I need to do. But no, there are more battles and more battles to be had. So I'm close, but I'm so far away still. But I think there's still 3 more boss battles to go. So the end of the game really is kind of like a boss rush. And there's that one puzzle level where there's the 6 doors, if you know what I'm talking about, if you played this game. But there's 6 doors you come to. They're all different types of challenges. You have to clear 4 of them to keep proceeding. So there's been some fun stuff here at the end of the game. I've been having a lot of fun with this game. I've been kind of relying on a guide, as I do for a lot of games, though. But I've been enjoying the combat. I like the timing mechanics in the combat. The characters are cool. The little bit of a story going on is perfect for this game, and I'm going to be excited when I finish this. So hopefully I'll be doing so in the next week or so. But the last part of the game, I think, is, it really is a boss rush. So I felt like I completed a good bit of things and then ran out of steam a little bit. So going to pick it up, I think 1 more sitting with the game, I can complete it. Maybe 2 more at the most. And I'll report back to you too on if I finish Super Mario RPG. And that one can then be added to the list of games from a prior year that I'm going to rank for the end of the year. So the 2 main categories for Game of the Year for the Dep Lewis Show Awards are Best Game of the Year from the current year, and then Best Game of the Year from a prior year. So that kind of captures any backlog stuff I'm playing in the current year, and I kind of put those in one category and rank them each year, and that's been fun to do. So that will probably be the plan for Super Mario RPG, and I think if I complete that, that'll be pretty high up there in the rankings, and I think hopefully I can complete some more games, but I think that's a pretty strong contender for that category if I do end up finishing it. All right, the last thing I've been playing this week, something else I just kind of picked up. So I guess on these last 3 games besides Donkey Kong Bonanza, these are games I've been playing for some amount of time that I've just been picking back up here and there. And the other game in this category is Pokemon Pearl. So I've been playing this on my DS, and I picked up a guide for this game maybe 2 months ago at this point. So I haven't really done any play sit downs with the guide in the game. So I finally did that, and it's extremely fun because you have all the information, or it's extremely fun for me for whatever reason, because you can locate where you are in the game. You can see everything around you. You can get the lay of the land. You can see all the extra stuff you do. I'm never someone really who goes and does every single thing. So this is nice to see all the options laid out, and I can pick which one I want to do, or possibly even try to complete them all. So I think it gives me, I'm going to say the word again, a nice structure of what I'm looking at, and helps me make some progress. And I'm still having fun. I can still not look at the guide if I want to, but it's just been a fun, almost like a little bit of a throwback feeling, because I would definitely use a guide back in the day before the internet was so apparent, because, I'm an old person, and it's something that I've kind of repicked back up recently, is trying to pick up a guide here and there. I think I have 3 of them right now, and something that, another video game thing that I wish I never traded in ones I had previously. So, but, things happen, and whatever, and I'm happy to have the ones I have now, and I probably will end up trying to pick up guides for games, and it's oftentimes they're pretty inexpensive, which has been nice too. So, been having some fun playing Pokemon Pearl. I'm still I think I'm in the second city. I thought I needed to do some backtracking, but I think I'm pretty caught up actually. So I think I'm pretty good to move on from the second city I'm in. And I've been having fun with this. So it's been fun to have the guide and be playing this. It's fun. I've been sitting on the porch playing it, even though it's been kind of hot. But at particular times of the day, you can sit out there and play. So it's been nice to play handheld. And I really am getting more into handheld as time goes on. And, we'll be looking over that trend as the Dep Lewis Show goes on over time too. So, and I will be keeping you up to date with it here, and that's the promise. So that's everything I've been playing this week. Donkey Kong Bonanza, Persona 3 Reload, Super Mario RPG, and Pokemon Pearl. This has been the year of no direction on the Dep Lewis Show, so I've had no direction on what to play or what to focus on, and that really hasn't resulted in too many games getting completed. So I think I need to rethink that for next year. But the little bit of direction I do have is I want to complete The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm saying that every week until I complete it. And then my other top game at the moment right now is Donkey Kong Bonanza. So just a little bit of guidance there in what I'm playing and what I'm thinking about mainly. And then I always am playing other games or jumping back in or picking something up and trying it. So that's just the way it's going to be, I think. But that's everything I've been playing. It's been a great week of video games, and I anticipate playing a lot of these games in the upcoming week as well, along with some Mario Kart. I have been playing some Mario Kart too. I think that one's just going to be kind of consistent. I've been talking about getting back into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and trying to complete those maps here, and I'm finally up to the 150 cc's of trying to complete them. So I'm trying to complete all the cups on the Grand Prix, starting from 50, going to 100. Now I'm in the 150, and I beat the first race pretty easily. I got first in all the races, and the second one, I got a 3rd place finish or something like that. So it only gives you 1 star. It gives you the trophy, but it's only a 1-star finish. So that is not going to be acceptable. I'm going to have to rerun that one again. I want to try to get, I guess, the run where I get first in all the races. I think that's ultimately what I want to get. And there's a lot of playtime to be had doing that. And it's extremely fun. It's a great podcast listening game, which is a genre of game. I guess any game can be one, but games where you don't technically need the sound, I think, are especially good for podcast listening, or if you're listening to a baseball game or something, or multitasking, I guess is what it is. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been extremely fun. Diddy Kong has been my main character in that game right now, because I've kind of been wanting to play some Diddy Kong racing, so I think playing him in Mario Kart has been a nice concession. So that's everything I've been playing. It's been a great week of games, and I will be back next week in this section to keep you up to date with what I'm playing as always. So that's going to wrap up the first section of the show, and you're going to hear some lovely break music. We're going to come back for the midsection, which is where I tell you about everything you need to know going on around the video game world. So you definitely don't want to miss it. So get prepared, listen to this music, and come right back for the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 139, after this. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 139. This is where I tell you about what is going on around the video game world that you need to know. So the first thing I want to talk about is a Pokemon Presents that took place last week. This took place on July 22nd, and I think this was pretty disappointing or lackluster. Whatever other synonym you can think for that. It was not very exciting. So the only things to really update, I think the new game from this was Pokemon Friends. They have some updates to Pokemon Champions coming, which is the kind of just like battle Pokemon Stadium game that I think has been released or is coming out. That actually looks kind of cool, that one. And then Pokemon Legends E through A, they showed some more off of that. So if you want to go watch this yourself, I think it was around 20 minutes in length. It's on the Pokemon YouTube channel, but just nothing here that really sparked my interest, as I'm definitely a Pokemon fan, but not hardcore in any way. And I'm into the mainline games and would possibly like some remakes of their games, but these mobile experiences aren't really up my alley, but I think a lot of people played these. So if you want to go check that out for yourself, I think it would maybe be good to do so, because I just might not be the best person to speak on some of these mobile things going on. But Pokemon Presents took place last week. Always nice to have a showcase and see some Pokemon though, and that is really the nicest thing I can say about it. So I guess it was after the Presents, it came out that Nintendo is going to release a Switch 2 plus Pokemon Legends E through A bundle. So don't really get too excited here. It's not a special edition bundle. It's just going to be a bundle of a Switch 2 console, which is exciting in itself, but it's just the base model with a copy of Pokemon Legends E through A. This is available for pre-order right now, and this is going to release on October 16th, 2025. So alongside the release of Pokemon Legends E through A, you can buy a bundle that includes the game. You're getting the Mario Kart World treatment here, where you're getting a discount on the game by buying this bundle. So that's nice, at least for this big purchase. That's a lot of money, but you get a little bit of a discount there on Pokemon Legends E through A, and that's nice, especially if that's a game that you are 100% wanting to buy and play on a Switch. You can play it on a Switch 1, but I guess Switch 2 will be the updated, the nicer version. But just so you know, you're not going to be missing out if you have a Switch 1. You can also play Pokemon Legends E through A on October 16th, 2025. So what did I write about the console bundle? It has a full game download with the bundle, Pokemon on the box art of the console, but nothing different about the actual hardware. So make sure you know that. But it's pretty cool to see you can pre-order these. So if you haven't been able to get your hands on a Switch, and last week I have seen them be available. I think they were available for over 24 hours at some point, and I think it's gone past that. You can buy them on Best Buy's website to ship to your house or pick up in store. I actually did. I was by the Best Buy yesterday, or a couple days ago, and they were out of stock at the store. They have a big sign that they just flip open. It's like the Hot Now sign for Krispy Kreme, for anybody that knows that. Best Buy has an in-stock or out-stock sign for Nintendo Switch 2. And the day where the stock was available online to purchase, not in-store pickup, or not like they didn't have the consoles in the store, but I guess they were able to ship them to you, or I guess they were kind of opening up their online purchasing more so. They've been trying to do the bundles in store, like you have to go to the store and pick them up on a certain day. They're going to have bundles in store, 50, 100, whatever it may be. But now it seems like they've kind of opened up the online portals more so. So if you've been looking for a Switch 2, I would say go check the interwebs. You can probably get one right now. I think Amazon's still doing the request invite thing, but it's becoming easier to get them. And I think maybe this will be, I don't know. It's been pretty impressive how they've been getting the stock out here. It's been pretty impressive how they've done the release of this console, but I would just think at some point it's going to be hard to get building up to the holiday season. There's going to be a drought of them, I would think, because it's going to be a hot item for this holiday season for sure. And I don't know if people have been picking them up now in anticipation of the holidays. I think maybe that would be smart, but it also may not be necessary. Maybe they're going to be having tons of these consoles. This console's been selling like crazy. I think I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So it's not like this has been a flop of any kind, but they have really been meeting the extreme demand, which has been impressive. So that was all the information on the Switch 2 plus Pokemon Legends Z through A bundle that's going to release on October 16th, 2025 alongside the game. All right, a video game that released in the past week for Nintendo Switch 2 is an update to Super Mario Party Jamboree, and this one is called the Super Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree TV. So one of the longest video game names in history. I guess probably not one of the longest, but it is a very long name. I'm going to have to type this in the show notes today. It's going to look crazy. But this game released, it is $79.99 US, one of those $80 games, and it released on July 24th, 2025. The original release of this game came out October of last year, 2024, and it's a very fun game. I picked that game up. I think I had a couple online parties with some friends and had no complaints with it. I had a whole lot of fun and just haven't really had the time to get people together and play it again. But that one is a game that I'm very happy to own and would be happy to play at, any time when people are kind of able to. So I definitely think this is a good game. And now it has some new Nintendo Switch 2 features with this new version. So the new Nintendo Switch 2 features include things like Become the Superstar of the Show and Jamboree TV, a game show hosted by Toad that is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. You can also enjoy minigames that use the Joy-Con 2 controller for mouse controls, the system's built-in microphone to respond to your sounds, and more. You can also connect the Nintendo Switch 2 camera or other compatible USB-C camera to the Nintendo Switch 2 system and bring everyone into the game. And you can enjoy Jamboree TV in a higher resolution in both TV mode and handheld mode. So those are all the Nintendo Switch 2 features. I forgot to write this down, but I'm pretty sure this is the case. If you have the original game, I believe it's $19.99 US to upgrade it. So I don't think there's a way to upgrade it through being a subscriber to Nintendo Switch Online. I think it's actually just $20 to upgrade it. And that is what I determined from my quick research looking on the store. But I could be wrong there, but just take note that there is an upgrade path from the base version to this one. So I'm happy that there's an upgrade path. I'm obviously going to be happy to pay extra $20, and I don't even think I would. I don't really know anyone who's bought a Switch 2. All my friends who had Super Mario Party Jamboree have a Switch 1. So if we were going to play that game, I would probably play that version. Most likely I'd be trying to play that version anyways until some more of them get a Switch 2, which could possibly happen in the future, but probably not anytime soon. So that's available right now. I think it's an excellent Mario Party game, so that is one thing to note, and so go check it out. All right, so I'm staying on the Nintendo side of things. Something else has been announced this week. Pretty interesting. It's not actually a video game, but it's definitely video game centric, and that is a Lego Game Boy. So to celebrate a revolutionary time in video game history, the Lego Group is bringing a true icon to brick form, the original Game Boy system from Nintendo. So I'm not really even a Lego person, but I would say if you like video games, or if you like Game Boy, or especially if you like Lego, go check a picture of this thing out. It looks extremely cool. This would be the closest that I would want to be getting to trying Legos, would be to get something like this, because it just looks awesome. So please go check this out if you haven't seen it already. The new Lego Game Boy that's been announced, and here's some more details about it. It's at a scale of near 1-to-1 to the Lego Game Boy model building kit, or I guess to the Game Boy, and it's a testament to a classic era in gaming with authentic details and much loved features and a nostalgic throwback to the classic system. The Game Boy model building kit is available now for pre-order and will be available for purchase October 1st, 2025. It's $59.99 US, and it's available for pre-order right now as of July 24th. The collectible 420-piece brick-built replica of the original Game Boy handheld game system comes with memorable features, the plus control pad, A and B buttons, and select and start, along other iconic Game Boy details such as the contrast adjustment and volume dial. So it's got everything there that you want to see. To dial up the nostalgia further, the design features the Game Pack slot and comes with interchangeable brick-built, this is one of the coolest parts, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening and Super Mario Land Game Boy game packs. Fans will also have the option to display their Lego Game Boy model with a choice of screens, the classic Nintendo Start screen or one from either of the interchangeable game packs. So, I mean, extremely cool. If you have like a bookshelf setup or a desk setup where you like to display things, I think this would be an extremely cool thing to do. So it looks like I don't want to say it looks like a museum piece, but I don't think I'm understanding how cool this thing looks. So please go check it out, and especially if you like Lego, I think you should go get one of these. So go check out that Lego Game Boy. Extremely cool. And I've said it's extremely cool probably 8 times, but I mean it. All right, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but some Nintendo Switch 2 sales. A little bit of an update here. We mentioned some numbers on this already. I think we definitely reported this number or something similar, but I think we said also over 5 million total units sold. But this one, I guess, is a complete confirmed number by Nintendo. So the Nintendo Switch 2 has become the fastest selling hardware ever in the United States. So the Switch 2 sold 1.6 million units in the US during its launch month. So that was just during the month of June, beating the PS4's previous sales record of 1.1 million units in November of 2013. So just incredible. I think they've done a good job of putting it out there for people who really want to get it. And I think it's been a fairly easy process, and it's been an impressive process, and it's not like they're selling. So I think it's just been a really cool thing, and I think a lot of people have their hands on these Switch 2s, and I've been having fun, and my 2 favorite games of the year so far have been from that console. So, I'm a fan of it over here. So just wanted to give you that little bit of an update on Nintendo Switch 2 sales, and that was it on that. So another Nintendo update, there has been an update to Nintendo Switch Online, the Playtest program. So Nintendo is saying we will perform a test called the Nintendo Switch Online Playtest program related to a service for Nintendo Switch Online. So this is the mystery that came up last year. They did a playtest for this originally. I still really don't know what this is about, and they still have not explained it to us. So in order to participate, you must have an active Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack membership to apply. If you are accepted, you must have a Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack membership or a Nintendo Switch Online membership. This is a test of the same service for which we performed a test in October of 2024. So what I just mentioned, participants will need to download exclusive software to their Nintendo Switch 2 system or Nintendo Switch system. Playtest period is July 28th through August 10th. So man, I maybe should have tried to do this just so I could have got some more insight into it. There's no guarantee I could have got into it, but I do have the expansion pack, so I should have at least tried, or maybe I should try after this show, because if you're listening in real time, this playtest period actually opens up tomorrow. So I don't know if they're going to do another playtest. I really have no clue, but I would love to know what this is going to result in. And it seems like their second public playtest, you think they would want to get the information out there, unless this is going to be something extremely incredible. If they do another playtest, then it's really going to get my hopes up even more. So I think that's kind of what they're doing, and I definitely do have tempered expectations here, but who knows? It's mysterious. A little bit of mystery is kind of nice. So Nintendo Switch Online Playtest Program going to be taking place starting tomorrow, if you're listening real time. All right, some more Nintendo side of the house things. Borderlands 4. Didn't really expect to say that, but it's coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on October 3rd. It's going to have cross-play with other platforms. I did not look up any other Borderlands 4 details. There was the quote earlier in the year, I believe this game is going to be $70 or $80. I think they raised the price on it or something, or I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was Randy Pitchford said, hey, if you're a real fan, you're going to pay the money, and that's a pretty disgusting thing to say, and I do not condone that. So I think that has a little bit of a mark on Borderlands 4 for me going into it. Not that I would want to pick this up on day one anyways, but I have some affinity for the Borderlands franchise, but I definitely don't want the CEO of the video game kind of mocking me to purchase the game. There's a million games out there to play, and Borderlands definitely doesn't have the juice or the clout that it's had previously, really, to be acting like that. That's kind of my problem with the overall approach there, but I could see myself playing Borderlands 4, and you never know, but I'm definitely not going to be playing it on day one. So it's coming to Switch 2, which I think is interesting and cool, and that kind of goes into this next announcement. There's been some rumors swirling that there are going to be some Xbox ports on Nintendo Switch 2, and they're going to be announced in the upcoming week. So there's also been mentions of a Nintendo Direct coming up that's going to be heavily third-party focused. So I think, where there's smoke, there's fire, but it definitely seems like there's some smoke here. The Borderlands 4 announcement is official, so they probably could just mention that again in a Direct. But I would like to see, I think I was mentioning in the first section, I would love this to be the Persona Reload announcements. I would love this to be the Metaphor ReFantazio announcements. I would like this to be the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth announcements. I would love to be playing those on my Switch 2, so I could be playing them in handheld. And I think that would be kind of the majority of the third-party stuff I would see. The Xbox ports could be things like Hi-Fi Rush. I don't know if they would do Indiana Jones, or I guess Avowed is another game that came out this year. Xbox has had a pretty good run of some of their first-party stuff that has gone to PlayStation. I just don't know exactly which Xbox ports they would be talking about, but we might get some information in the upcoming week. And as always, this is a really great show to listen to keep up to date with video game news. So there are rumors, Xbox ports coming into Nintendo Switch 2. And then kind of switching out of Nintendo stuff, I want to talk about The Outer Worlds 2. So there's some news here. Xbox has announced that it will not be selling this or any of its holiday games for $79.99 USDs like previously stated, so that $80 price point. These games will be kept at $69.99 USDs. So a little bit of a backtrack here. The Outer Worlds 2 was set to be Xbox's first $80 game, which that seems a little bit crazy, in my opinion. I think The Outer Worlds 1 is a fine game. I think a lot of people liked it. I think it's a high quality game, but I think it's, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was the first $70 game on Nintendo Switch, and people were all up in arms over that. And I don't think Outer Worlds is in the same realm as Zelda, but there definitely has a lot of fans. So The Outer Worlds 2 is the back of the box talk on that. It's the eagerly awaited sequel to the award-winning first-person sci-fi RPG from Obsidian Entertainment. Time to clear your calendar, get ready for an action-packed adventure with a new crew, new weapons, and new enemies in a new colony. So much newness. So the original released in 2019, Outer Worlds 1. And so the price change, where they're going from 80 down to 70, they are giving refunds and reimbursements for those who have already pre-ordered the game for $80 will be available via the storefront or location where the game was bought at. Expect refund notifications from the point of purchase, and some sellers may take a few days for refunds to be available. So this seems like a little bit of a bonehead move there. and it just seems like a weird game to do it with. And I don't know. I'm questioning a lot of the Xbox strategy, especially with their video game stuff. I just don't. None of it really makes too much sense at this point. So I think that's just kind of where I'm going to leave that at. And this is a good thing in general. I would like the prices to be lower. It just seems like a weird thing to do. It just seems like the whole strategy is hard to explain at this point, and that's kind of what I'm getting at more so than the price being lower, which I do appreciate as a consumer and purchaser of video games. So that's the news with Outer Worlds 2. All right, I don't even know when that game releases. I didn't write down the release date for it, but I think it does. I don't know if it has a firm date, but I think it is slated to come out this year or next year would be my guess. All right, so what else has happened in the week that I want to tell you about? Bandai Namco and Sony have signed a strategic partnership. So I do like hearing about these. I think this one's pretty significant, and I think there's some interesting things in this. So I'm going to read to you kind of the press statement from Bandai Namco and Sony. Bandai Namco Holdings Inc. and Sony Group Corporation today, July 24th, announced the signing of a strategic business alliance agreement. Sony also agreed with existing shareholders of Bandai Namco to acquire 16 million Bandai Namco shares held by those shareholders for approximately 68 billion yen, which I looked up. This could be incorrect, but I believe that translates to around 458 million US dollars. With the acquisition of these shares, Sony will become a shareholder holding approximately 2.5% of the total issued shares of Bandai Namco. So some very big business here, and a strategic, what they call it, a strategic business alliance agreement. And through this business alliance and Sony's investment in Bandai Namco as two of the leading Japanese entertainment companies, Bandai Namco and Sony will focus on expanding the fan community for IP such as anime and manga. I think it's manga around the world, and strengthening engagement, particularly in the anime field where rapid market growth is anticipated, while merging their strengths to create new and emotionally moving experiences for fans, and as a result of these efforts, maximize the value of IP. So, some corporate talk there, but I like the part, or it's interesting that I find the part they mentioned, particularly in the anime field. So I think that's something that anime is becoming more mainstream. I think even younger people are making that more mainstream than it's ever been, and I think that is a trend that's probably going to continue. And I'm somewhat a fan of anime and would like to see it more throughout some video game stuff. I even kind of consider Persona 3 a little bit anime, so I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's just cool. I think it's cool to see this big business dealing, and they're mentioning anime in there. So there's some money to be made there for sure. And Bandai Namco and Sony are going to try to figure out a way to get that money in their pockets. All right, the last news bit I want to talk about this week is never a good news story. This is a layoff story. So not a studio that I'm too familiar with playing their games, but I do want to mention that this is happening because this is a constant trend in the video game world, and especially over the time I've been doing the Dep Lewis Show. I've reported on more layoffs than I can report. So, just T's and P's always to people getting laid off. It's never fun to have uncertainty in your time, especially when it comes something related to your job, which is how you maintain your living and your livelihood. So definitely thoughts and prayers to those people laid off in any regard. It's always just tough having that uncertainty. So Supermassive Games is the recent developer studio laying off people. So they're laying off about 36 people, and they're also delaying a game called Directive 8020. Directive 8020 is an upcoming horror game in the studio's first sci-fi game, and centers on the crew of a crashed spaceship. So Supermassive Games has developed games like Dark Pictures and The Quarry, and this is an England-based studio, and their statement on this layoff is, the games industry remains a challenging and ever-evolving environment. So I always love reading a layoff statement because they're always pretty much exactly the same. And this one's going to follow suit as well. And the first sentence of here is one they always cite as an ever-changing environment. As we adapt our team structure to better align with these changes, we've had to make the very difficult decision to bring a redundancy. This is one too. I've never heard this phrase, and I enjoyed this one because they're always just trying to spin it in some type of flowery way. That's what it is. This is like flowery language here. But they call this difficult decision to being a redundancy consultation process. So they're not getting laid off. They're just going through a redundancy consultation process. Doesn't that make you feel much better about that 36 people? So I wonder if that one's going to be used more and more as time goes on, but I think that one is ridiculous. So we're going through our rounds of redundancy consultation process where we anticipate losing up to 36 of our colleagues. Anticipate losing, and they're the ones making the decision. So that poking holes in this thing, but that's stupid. All right, this decision was not taken lightly, and we know this will be an incredibly difficult time for everyone. That is true. Our absolute priority would be to offer full support to all those affected. So that is what would be nice. So, good on them there, and hopefully they're following through. But they also are laying people off. We remain focused on our upcoming projects and have made the decision to move the launch of Directive 8020 to the first half of 2026. The response to this game so far has been fantastic, and this additional time will help us deliver the best experience for our fans. So I'm just kind of laughing in real time because they're talking, so what's the problem? Why'd you have to let those 36 people go if everything on the game is just running so smoothly? And this game's running smoothly and people are loving it, but we're letting people go. So it's either that they've done the work already that's why they're going through a redundancy consultation process, or they are lying and not telling the full truth. So there's probably a little bit of a mix of both there. So we're deeply grateful for the patience and support of our community. There is no impact on the development of Little Nightmares 3, which is set to release on October 10th. So that's the update over there on Supermassive Games. And thoughts and prayers to anyone laid off over there. I hope you land on your feet, and I hope you find a job that you like and are able to make some money to keep your life going and maybe even improve your life. All right, so that's everything I have for you in the midsection of the show this week. And that's everything you need to know about the video game world. We talked about the Pokemon Presents. We talked about the Switch 2 plus Pokemon Legends E3A bundle. We talked about Super Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree TV. One of the longest games that I've had to write on the show in a long time. We talked about the Lego Game Boy, Nintendo Switch 2 sales, Nintendo Switch Online Playtest program, Borderlands 4, Xbox ports on Nintendo Switch 2, The Outer Worlds 2, Bandai Namco and Sony, and the Supermassive games. So that's everything I have for you for my video game thoughts and news. But there's still one final section of the show. So you're going to hear some lovely break music, and we're going to come back for the final section, the Miscellaneous Talk section of the show, right after this. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 139. This is a Miscellaneous Talk section where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. So I want to get into the worldwide world of sports as always and tell you what's going on with my favorite team. So there's a little more action this week to talk about across all the sports. And my favorite NFL team, the Carolina Panthers, they have begun training camp. So they got the boots on the ground. They're working the kinks out. They're getting the plays ready. They're getting in condition. They're out here ready to roll. So I'm happy to see that. And the Panthers have their upcoming Fan Fest next weekend, August 2nd at BOA at the stadium, and I think I'm going to go to that, especially if the weather's nice or whatever, and go check them out. It's pretty fun to go to the Fan Fest. It's only $5 to get in, and you can kind of sit wherever, and it's just basically watching practice, but they're playing music. You get to see the guys out there practicing, and it's been pretty fun. I think I've gone to it for the last couple of years, so I would recommend that. And then the other dates for the Panthers, the preseason begins on Friday, August 8th, 2025 versus the Browns at 7 p.m. And then the regular season begins Sunday, September 7th, 2025 at Jacksonville, 1 p.m. So I can smell the football already. And then we got the college football starting even a little bit before that. Got fantasy football rolling in, so great time of the year for sure for football fans like myself. And the other news with the Panthers, this one's a little bit of a sad news. Josie Jewell, Panthers linebacker, has been released by the Panthers. This one doesn't seem like, like trying to get rid of him kind of thing. This just seems like a little bit of a special scenario. So Josie Jewell remains in NFL concussion protocol 7 months after suffering a brain injury. According to a team spokesperson, the 30-year-old Jewell wanted to prioritize his health and recovery and be considerate of his teammates, and the move allows the Panthers to move forward with a group of players who are able to get all the practice reps when camp opens. If all goes well with his recovery, he could return to the team at some point in the future, which that would be very nice. But T's and P's to him as well, because your health is your wealth. And that is, a silly statement, but it's very true that Mr. Josie Jewell needs to prioritize his health for sure, especially when it comes to brain injuries, and that's completely vital for the rest of it, for the importance of the rest of his life, which has a long life to live. So, good on you, Josie Jewell, and it would be nice to see you back playing with the Panthers. You were a bright spot last year for sure, amongst some of the really bad defense going on, and really putting some effort in there, and kind of was surprising at some point and fun to watch too. So, shout out to Josie Jewell for sure, and hope you I'm going to say get better, but, just hope you, get healthier. All right. So that's the Carolina Panthers news. So just training camp has begun, and we are waiting on the preseason to begin, which is just in a couple weeks, which is pretty insane, and I am ready for it. All right, as far as the NBA is going, the only thing to report here is the Charlotte Hornets won the Summer League. They went undefeated. This was their first Summer League title. the number 4 pick, Colin Knuppel, won the MVP, and they beat the Kings in the chip. So pretty cool thing for the Hornets. Nice to get some, it's nice to get a win regardless of how you can get it. They went undefeated. Their overall number 1 pick is looking good. So as someone who lives in North Carolina, I'll be excited to go check out some Hornets games this year. And I've been a halfway fan of the Hornets for a couple years now since I've been living in North Carolina. And the team, so far, my history with the team has been, it's fun to go for the first third of the season. And then somewhere around All-Star break or after All-Star break, they're going to shut LaMelo down, shut some of the other guys down, and it's really going to be just an easy win for the other team. You're going to see the other team come into town and play 3 quarters. So not the greatest experience. It's fun to see some NBA basketball regardless, or see some of these guys in person, but just not a ton of reasons to be trying to go to one of these games. So hopefully the Hornets can be more competitive in general this upcoming season and be healthy. But my favorite NBA team is the Atlanta Hawks. They had an extremely disappointing season last year, so I definitely have some hopes for this season. They've built the roster up over the offseason, and I'm excited for the basketball to get started. I've been missing it for sure, and I shouldn't have any hope for the Hawks, but I do have some, and the thing I want to see is Trae Young get his extension signed. I would love to see that before the season starts, and I've heard some people actually talking about that, and was making me feel good about, I'm not the only one out there thinking that's a possibility, and I would like it to happen. So lock him down so we don't have to go through be giving him a test run this year for seeing what they do. Like, they should stand on their decisions here. They built a roster completely around Trae, and he's been a great Atlanta Hawk. But so you should pay him. That's kind of what I'm saying. You should pay him, and I would love to see that news crack the timeline. So Atlanta Hawks just kind of getting ready for the NBA season there. And then the current sport that's going on in full force right now is the Major League Baseball, my favorite sport, and my favorite team, the Atlanta Braves. So what's been going on with them since I've talked to you last week? It's been rough. I don't think the Braves have the juice this year. I don't think they're going to make a crazy run. I don't think they're going to get hot, and it's pretty sad to see. So last Sunday versus the Yankees, the Braves lost 2-4, and then they start a series with the Giants to start the week. So Monday versus the Giants in Atlanta, the Braves won 9-5. Tuesday versus the Giants, the Braves lost 0-9. Wednesday versus the Giants, it was a noon game. The Braves lost 3-9. Thursday was an off day, so they weren't able to lose that day. Friday at the Rangers. So over there in Texas, a friend of the show, Pab, Texas resident, going to the game with a couple other of my friends in real life and friends of the show. So he's out there living it up, watching the Rangers wallop the Braves. So he's been talking mad shit, as a Pab does, and just bad on you, Braves, for embarrassing me like this. So Friday at the Rangers, the Braves lost 3-8, and then Saturday at the Rangers last night, the Braves lost 5-6 in extra innings and free baseball. And I can be your hero, baby. Iglesias blew it once again. So Iglesias is the 2025 version of Will Smith for the team. And last night, all my friends got to see it in person. The thing we talk about every time we see Iglesias come to the mound is the anxiety and the stress that we feel that this game is about to get blown. And they got to see it happen in real time. A friend of the show, Pab or Stoop Wood or whatever you want to call him, was standing up clapping. He called me after, was talking shit. So, we need to see this pendulum swing back the other way for him. So come on, Braves, out here embarrassing me on these streets out here. But shout out to them having fun at the baseball games. Globe Life Field is an amazing baseball stadium, and maybe I got to watch some more Rangers game for the second half of the year, because the Braves have been playing like trash. So, and they lost Grant Holmes last night too after the game. They put him on the IL for an undetermined amount of time. So the starting rotation has been pummeled with injuries, and it's just looking really rough out here. So the Braves have one more game against the Rangers today in Texas at 2:35, so about 3 hours away in real time. I'm excited to watch that, and I really, really hope they don't get swept, because that is more ammunition for the trash talkers of the world, which I know a really, really good one. All right, so the next week for the Braves, they start the week with 3 at Kansas City, and then they have 3 at the Reds, and they're actually off on next Sunday, which is pretty unusual, and I think is probably their first Sunday off of the year. So 6 games next week and off on Sunday, and that is the plan. And the other thing to report on the Braves, a retirement. The great Jesse Chavez retires. He has played over 18 seasons in the Major League Baseball with 9 different clubs. He's a right-handed pitcher. His final appearance for the 41-year-old was July 13th for the Braves against the Cardinals. He was traded 11 times in his career, most of any player in MLB history, and he won a ring with the Braves in 2021. And I think that season, too, he was brought on and released a couple times, too. So just some good vibes with Jesse Chavez, and really most memorable is kind of the 2021 season, but he had some other stints where they would bring him back. He would plug a gap for them or, give them some good innings and do some good things. So, congratulations to him. To play 18 seasons in the Major League Baseball is no joke, and he seems like he was a good clubhouse guy and everybody, kind of a fan favorite, a little bit of a cult favorite and a cult classic, and just shout out to him. So go Jesse Chavez. Thank you for all your services with the Braves and the other teams as well, and it's nice that you ended your career playing for the Braves. All right, the last bit of MLB news I have to report to you in general was a trade that took place the other night, and a player that I'm a fan of got traded, Josh Naylor, the first baseman from the Diamondbacks, who they just traded for him recently and paid him. And they're shipping him off to the Mariners because they're having a disappointing season. So, this one I feel like is a huge win in the Mariners book. I give them a big GG. Josh Naylor was one of my favorite non-Braves in the league, and they traded 2 pitching prospects for him. So, and I saw the Diamondbacks made another move as well. So they're definitely doing a little bit of selling, and they definitely have had a disappointing season. Not as disappointing as the Braves, but trading Naylor is pretty insane. And I guess just the prospects of pitching caught their eye, and the Mariners are trying to make a run here. And I think it's just an impressive trade, and seeing, I bet, I don't know. I'm about to say I bet Naylor is happy, but I think Naylor went to the D-backs with the anticipation they were going to be good too. So I don't know. I guess he's jumping ship a little bit, and the Diamondbacks think you should be jumping ship as well. So Josh Naylor to the Mariners, big news. The MLB trade line is actually July 31st. So I got my eyes and ears locked to the streets trying to see what's going on. I'm interested in what the Braves are going to do. I hope they don't make any major moves. I hope the Braves maybe just, I don't know if they have to move some guys that aren't going to be here next year. Maybe would have a problem with that, but I really would not want to see them make any kind of major moves. So I have a little bit of anxiety going into the trade deadline, but I will definitely report to you next week on all the things that go down. So, you want to listen to the Dep Lewis Show every week is the main lesson there. That's all the sports talk. That's all the miscellaneous talk I have for you this week. And go Braves today. I hope they can get a win and avoid the sweep. We talked about the Panthers, we talked about the Hornets and the Hawks, and then we talked about the Braves and general MLB news. And that's everything I have for you this week. So that's going to wrap up the final section and also wrap up the entire show. So I want to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning. Please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of the Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. So thank you so much for listening as always. I hope you have a wonderful week out there in the world. I hope you get to play some fun video games. I hope some of your sports teams win. I hope you get to eat something good. I hope you win the lottery. I hope you go on vacation. I hope something great happens to you. And I hope you come back next week for another episode of Dep Lewis Show, because that is where I'll be. Thank you as always, and I will talk to you next time.